Hey guys, I'm actually going to be doing something new with the channel. I'm going to be doing some comic book reviews. So what I'm doing is this week's and last week's comic books that came out that I picked up in my pull list, and I'm pretty much just going to get my thoughts out there about what's going on with them and how I feel about them. So the first book I read this week was Empire issue 6, which I really enjoyed it. I like the fact that it's very old school Avengers with the story arc and everything like that, because I'm a huge fan of Steve Englehart, so his run with the Celestial Madonna storyline and the fact that, someone finally got the gumption to actually, settle things with the story and try to, make things come full circle was cool. The only thing that I didn't really like about it was the fact that, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but the Coeto, I feel like it was a little bit of a shame that they ended up being enemies instead of just, being the peaceful race that they were. I mean, I understand with their history with the Kree, slaughtering them and everything like that, that they might want to have some type of revenge. But that was the only thing that was a little bit jarring about the series. But it also, it's part of that untapped well of stories that they can constantly do with the Kree and Skrulls, which for them to actually be two kingdoms merged together seems pretty cool. But then you also had the two one-shots that came out this week, where it's Empire Fallout and Empire Aftermath. In an Aftermath, it gets to the point where Abigail Brand pretty much loses her mind over the fact that the Avengers didn't bother to tell her that the Quaidel were pretty much about to attack the city and everything like that, and a lot of people were killed, and she was very upset that she didn't have an early warning. And I actually kind of agree. The first thing that you should do is secure the population, not just run off to the moon to do whatever you got to do. But Empire Fallout was actually pretty cool because even though it wasn't written by Jason Aaron, it kind of brought his story arc kind of full circle with the ending, with them dealing with the Watcher and what's going on with that. I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you read Original Sin, it kind of brings things back to Original Sin, because that was pretty much Aaron's first real crack at the mainstream with the Avengers and Thor and everything like that. And I think that's pretty cool with what they're going with that. So also I read this week was Legion of Superheroes issue 8, which I really like this book. I think it's very well written by Brian Michael Bendis, but what made this week's book special was they had a special story arc where it's like the trial of Legion of Superheroes, and in each page there was a different artist drawing the book. And what I thought was a lot of fun was, before I went to the back of the book to see who drew each page, I wanted to see if I could write down on the list and guess who I thought the artists were. And I think other than maybe 2 or 3 artists, I pretty much nailed who I thought was drawing each page, which was pretty cool. It was a fun little thing to do. Also picked up Strange Adventures, which honestly, at this point, I feel like Tom King is just doing a deconstruction of Adam Strange. I'm really hoping that it doesn't end up being one of those things where it's like the whole story was a hoax type thing, but it's starting to look like it has shades of that. Superman 25 this week. What is Sinmar? Is it a person? Is it a race of beings? As much as I love Legion, this issue was kind of a little bit weak. I don't know what direction they're going with this this new character. It was really weird. They kept bouncing back and forth between dialogue between Clark and I believe Lana Lang, and then it kept going back to the planet with this character, and a little bit weird. I'm gonna have to, read a couple more issues just to see where they're going with this new character, if he's a villain or if he's a hero. Shrugs. We got the first issue of the Ultraman mini, which, if you are a fan of the Ultraman series, I guess you'd be interested to see how this is gonna go. The one thing that I wish that they would do is, instead of trying to bring Ultraman into the present time, I wish they would just pick up with the whole origin mythos and everything. Just start from that point. Don't do flashbacks. Don't do backstories and everything like that. Just have Ultraman, the whole thing. Just have the person gain the power and everything like that. Have the alien crash on Earth and just get it over with. The back half of the book was pretty cool because there was a little bit of there was a comic strip that was centered around Pigmon, and then there was also a short story in the back featuring Ultra Q, which seems to be the origin of the Science Police, at least in this universe. But overall, if you're an Ultraman fan and you're expecting it to just start from the gate, just super action Ultraman story, you might be a little bit disappointed because it's more of a procedural, building and everything like that. You get the characters established, and it does fall into the same trope of the guy who's not quite good enough to get into whatever situation that he wants to get into. Not a bumbling idiot, but just the one guy that just doesn't seem to get things right. Obviously, he's going to turn out to be the new Ultraman. So, that should be interesting. Trinity Crisis, the only thing I really got to say about the book is that it had some really nice art. Otherwise, it's your typical DC, one-shot that's overpriced and not really much too good to say about it. Then there was also Web of Venom Wrath, which I actually love this character when it first appeared in Annihilation Conquest. I was a little disappointed to see how the end of this book went, but for the most part, I feel like this was a character that was an untapped potential to fall on underneath the cult classic kind of heroes, in the same lines of Punisher, Star-Lord. It was really written really, really well. It just, why do we have to kill off every character that is not a main A-list character? Why do we have to kill off D-list guys? Why don't we try to build them up? Let's see, what else did I pick up this week? Amazing Spider-Man, issue 48. And for the past 5 or 6 issues, I have been loving every minute of it. I love the development that they've done with the Sin Eater character. Here's an example of a D-list character that they took and they're trying to update and make better. Adding the whole mystic side to him and everything like that, I think is really, really cool. And having him be the herald of Kindred, which nobody knows who Kindred is yet. I think it's going to get either revealed in this issue coming up, which would be issue 850 or 851. But I have a theory of who I think it is, and that'll be for another video at another time, because I don't want to spoil the story for anybody. Another book that I picked up, which was a really nice palate cleanser, was Firepower from Robert Kirkman. And I don't care what anybody says, right now the world really, really needs another Kung Fu book, because I'm loving every minute of this book. I love the whole entire martial arts side to it. And it's a lot of fun, and it's Robert Kirkman, so why not? Guardians of the Galaxy wasn't bad. It kind of had one of those jarring moments in it, not in a it's a horrible kind of way, but just wow, I didn't expect to see that. But there's a moment where two characters make out with each other that you would not expect to make out with each other, and it falls underneath the same lines of when Richter and Shatterstar got together, where it's just like, you get to the page and you're just like, oh, well, that's the thing. Not in a bad way, but I've been pleasantly surprised with Guardians of the Galaxy. And then lastly, we have Batman 98, which is the third issue of Joker War, and it's the stereotypical, we're halfway through the crossover, Batman's going to turn it around, and he's going to start his comeback into, defeating the Joker type storyline. I'm getting real tired of, villain takes over the city and nobody does anything about it type story arcs, because right before this story arc, Bane took over the city, and it seems like we had maybe 2 breaths in between Bane taking over the city and now Joker's taking it over. But anyway, that's how I feel about these books for the past 2 weeks. Hopefully I'll get better at this. A little awkward, a little new at this. Hope everyone's well. Have a good day.